Hiya, Lorree here, welcome back. So welcome to part 9 of our Happy May-le Month Challenge. I can't believe we're on part 9 already. But today we're making the tabs for the last journal. So I'm just grabbing little bits of fabric that are sort of the right width that I need. I've been putting 6 tabs in each journal. And I'm just making them in a sort of snippet roll style to start with. So I'm not going to be doing any sewing though, as I know not everyone has a sewing machine. So I'm just going to kind of show you how you could do this without a sewing machine, just using glue. And if you have a sewing machine, you could obviously use it here, or you could even hand stitch. But I'm going to be using just glue, just to show you that it is possible to make these without any kind of stitching at all. So I'm just grabbing little bits and bobs for me to layer up onto those bits of fabric. I don't really want to see the fabric too much, so I'll be layering quite a bit on top of it. So I'm just grabbing different lace trims, and I'm going to be doing different layers. So to start off with, I'll be putting lace trims, and then I'll be doing some embellishments, and then once I cut them down, I'll be adding little things like buttons and bows and things like that for more decoration. So I'm just, sorry about my head getting in there. I'm just grabbing my uhu and getting it ready. And as you can see, I've got 2 bits of fabric here, which will be enough for me to make my 6 tabs. And I'm just going to start layering randomly. I'm not really following any kind of structure for this. It's just, if I think it's pretty, it's going down. So I've got lots of different types of laces. Again, these are all my snippets. So still using scraps, essentially. And once these are in the journal, I'll also be going in and adding lace to the edges of the pages. But I think that will be in the next video, because I think we're just going to concentrate on these tabs for today. But I hope you're all well, and I hope you're enjoying this challenge and taking part. Again, like I said before, if you want to take part, you can. Everybody can take part in this. You don't have to make the full 31 Happy Meals. You can make as many as you like. And if you do have an Instagram, be sure to use the Happy May-le Month hashtag. And like I said before, leave any links down below so that we can go check out what you're doing and be inspired from your work. Obviously, if you're not taking part, I hope you're still crafting along with me in some shape or form. Let me know what kind of crafts you're working on at the moment. I'd love to know. So just continuing to layer those up and just kind of grabbing the ones that I like the best to fit that certain area, basically. And obviously keeping in mind that these are going to be cut down into smaller pieces, so I want to obviously have different laces showing in different areas throughout. So now that I've got kind of a rough idea of what I want to go where for the first layer, I'm just going in with my glue, and I'm literally just covering the entire space that each piece of lace is going to sit on, because like I said before, these are going to be trimmed down, and I don't want to trim it down and then find that a piece isn't glued and it falls off. So I'm just making sure to have enough glue that it is all over the lace, all over the fabric, all over me, and all over the desk. And it is not going to go anywhere. So I'm putting them on individually rather than covering the entire piece of fabric with lace. I'm just covering that section with glue and then sticking it down and then going back in if I need to. And if it pops over the edge, I don't mind. I can go in and trim that off with my scissors later on. And some ones, like some particular laces, I actually like the look of it. For instance, the scalloped edge, I like it kind of peeking off the edge. So in some cases, I would leave that alone. And then other times I would trim it off, just depending on how it looked and how I felt about how it looked. So now that I have most of the first layer kind of set down, I'm going in and just grabbing little bits and bobs and kind of popping them again, just to kind of cover that fabric piece, as I'm more focusing on the lace than the fabric beneath it. So I don't want too much of that fabric to shine through. So I'm just continuing to layer, and I don't want to cover certain parts because obviously there are laces there that I want to show through even in the final tab. So I'm just kind of covering what I don't mind being covered, essentially. And I'm just adding glue as I go this time rather than putting a full section down. I'm just going to grab lace, pop it down. Sometimes I will lift bits of lace up to pop something underneath, and other times it will just go straight on top. But like I said, this is the same sort of process I would follow if I was making a snippet roll. The only difference being is I would pin these in place and then take it to the sewing machine. Sometimes I would do a running stitch to hold them in place and then just cut that away at the end once I've taken it through the sewing machine. But it is just as easy to use glue, probably easier and less time consuming to use the glue, and you don't need a sewing machine to make a snippet roll. So that's kind of what I was hoping to show you in this process, that I know obviously most people, if not all people, do tend to use the sewing machine for their snippet rolls, and myself included, but it is not necessary. If you don't have a sewing machine or you don't like to sew, you can definitely make these with just glue. Obviously you need a fabric glue, but other than that, you're good to go. So again, I'm just going back into my little snippet bag, trying to find a piece to hide that little piece of fabric that just is completely obvious between those two lace trims. So I found this little bit of ribbon that I'm going to tuck underneath that scalloped lace there. So I'm just going to kind of figure out how big I need it to be and then trim it down. And then, like I said, I'm just going to lift that scalloped edge up and slot it underneath there, because I definitely want that scalloped trim to be showing. That's one of my favourite laces, actually. So how do you actually feel about the voiceover? I'd love to know. No one really kind of got back to me on whether or not I should do the voiceover, but I thought I'd give it a try, as I can definitely fit more into the video in the allotted time. For instance, this video is roughly half an hour long, and I've managed to finish these tabs and get them into the journal, which I wouldn't be able to do if I hadn't sped things up. So let me know below how you feel about the voiceover, if you're okay with it, if you're happy about getting more in one video, or if you would rather that I'd went back to doing the chatty version and just have more videos. I feel like this one kind of takes a lot of pressure off of me, so I much prefer it, as I'm definitely running a tad behind where I planned it to be by now. I haven't even got the first batch of journals out yet. I'm going to be sending all the first and the second batch out together in the mail. So the first 11 journals I'll be sending out together. Would you guys want me to show you my packing them up and getting them ready to go out? I mean, I'm really not sure how I'm going to do that yet, whether it be an envelope or if I'm just going to wrap them in packing paper. It depends on if I can find envelopes big enough to fit them in, and it feels sturdy enough that it's not going to tear on the way. So it really just depends. But let me know if you would like me to do a video on me actually packing them up, as I'd be happy to do so. In the next video, we're going to be doing the page edgings. So just the same idea as what I did in the previous batch of journals, where I put some lace on the edge of the pages. I'm going to be doing that with this journal. I've already done it to the other ones. This is literally the last one I have to make. The rest are all sitting ready to go. But obviously I wanted to finish this one with you guys. So once the tabs are down, I can then go in and add the lace trims to the other pages, and then we can do the cover, and then that will be this journal fully finished. I will do a full flip through of the completed journals once this one is finished as well, just like I did for the last batch, so that I have a reference for next year as well, and obviously so you guys can see what I've done off camera, and hopefully get some inspiration. Like I said, every single piece of these journals is made using my scraps or my snippets, which is my scrap pieces of lace and fabric. So yeah, if you want to challenge yourself to use only the scrap pieces of bits and bobs, you can absolutely do that. Like I said, both of these journals I have done with the binding, the pamphlet stitch. So the next ones I'm going to be doing are going to be with the ring binding, but I'm going to be using twine as I don't have enough rings. So I've never done that style before, so it'll be a nice little challenge for myself. But I'll be doing the next batch of 5 in that method. And then I'm going to be doing different methods again, just so that I don't get bored as well. I want them to be obviously the same idea. They're all journals and they'll have roughly the same amount of pages and things in them, but they will all be different. For instance, the previous batch didn't have tabs, but they had little clusters in the corner of some pages, whereas these journals don't have little clusters, they have tabs. So just kind of finding different variations of decoration for each kind of set of journals. But yeah, let me know if you guys are okay with the voiceover, and if you would like me to pack the Happy Mails up on camera for you guys. I might even just do that so that again I have a reference to look back on for next year, because I definitely want to continue this annually. So obviously if you're not taking part this year, you can definitely do so next year. I would also love any ideas you have for next year, as obviously I don't think I'll be doing journals again next year. I would like to do something different. So yeah, if you have any ideas on what we could create next year, I would love to know down in the comments below. And if you do have any ideas for the next lot of journals, definitely let me know, because I'm kind of racking my brain on things to do for decoration that's different. Different types of ephemera and things like that. I was going through my scraps again, and I actually came across a bunch of stamped labels, so I was really happy with that find. So they'll be going, well, not all of them, because I actually have a bunch of them. I think it was that I'd scanned them to make my stickers, and so I have a bunch, and they're just on regular paper, so I just kind of popped them in the scrap bin to use whenever. But they are definitely going to come in handy for my ephemera pieces for the next batch, and possibly even the batch after, because there was a lot. So I was really chuffed with that. But I can't believe how much scraps I actually still have left over from that original one box. I mean, I have been going through, I've got like 5 or 6 boxes of scraps. It's ridiculous, which was the main cause of wanting to use the scraps. So I have been going through the boxes looking for new embellishment pieces and things like that. So I'm kind of grabbing from different boxes. But the original box that I used to create this batch and the previous batch of journals, it still has a big amount of scraps in it. I cannot actually believe how much is left over. I swear they're reproducing or something, or someone's sneaking in papers in the middle of the night, because it just does not seem physically possible, like scientifically possible, to still have as much paper left as I do. Is it just me, or do you have that same problem where your scraps just seem never ending, no matter how many you use? Anyway, so now I'm going in with the decoration part of the layering process. So I'm just grabbing little embellishments like flowers, bows, stars, things like that, like applique trims rather than lace trims. And I'm just kind of randomly placing them down. Again, these will be cut in certain areas, so I'm just bearing that in mind, that, for instance, my bow could get cut in half, or my leaf could get cut in half. So I'm kind of positioning them in a way where the majority will be on one tab, if that makes sense. And then if, for instance, the edge of it gets cut off, that's fine. For instance, the star circle, this circle with the star in the centre, I've kind of put it to the side so that it will be on one side of the tab, but very little of it will get chopped off when I'm actually cutting down the tabs. I hope I'm making sense. But these again are still quite flat. They are appliques, but they are not three-dimensional in a way a button would be. So when I do cut them, I can cut through them essentially. So I'm just kind of picking out what I like and faffing about to see where I want things to go and to see how I like them. And obviously I'm cutting off any little bits that would have normally been connected to another bit of the trim. This is a bridal lace applique thingamabob, and I've just been kind of using little bits and bobs of it. It was actually quite big. It was like a backing piece for a dress, and I had like leaves and flowers and swirls and just gorgeousness. So I've been cutting off little bits and pieces here and there and just kind of popping them in different places, like what I just did with that. So I think I'm actually done for now with those. So I'm going to go in, and again, I'm just adding my glue. And the good thing about this being a fabric glue is it's not going to make the fabric like ridiculously hard. Like if you were to use a PVA glue, it would stiffen the fabric and it probably wouldn't even hold together very well. I can't imagine PVA glue holding the fabric to fabric very well. I mean, fabric to paper, it's brilliant, but I still would recommend using the fabric glue. The 3-in-1 fabric glue by Beacon is really good, and it's cheaper than the Fabri-Tac and the Fabri-Fix, but it's the same thing. So if you're looking to get like the Fabri-Tac or Fabri-Fix, but it's a little bit outside your budget, you can get, I think it's 2 bottles this size that I'm using, and I think it's like £18. I don't know what that would correlate to in like US or Euro or anything like that, but you get 2 bottles of this size, and I think it's £18 or £19, and a little goes a long way. So, and like I said, it's exactly the same stuff, it's just in a different bottle. I don't know why they've named them so many different things, to be honest. But anyway, I'm going to go cut these down now. So I'm just kind of folding it over to see roughly what size I would want my tab to be for the first one, and then I'm basically just cutting the remainder in half, and that gives me 3 from each strip of fabric. And like I say, these fabric pieces were from my scrap bin, and I had just cut them down so that they were in strips when I was making my last bunch of tabs. And obviously you could use these to make anything. You don't have to use them to make tabs. You can make pockets with these, or belly bands, or tags even. I actually have a tag in my own junk journal where I wrote on the tag, and then I put a bit of my own snippet roll over the top of it, and then added like an eyelet to hold them together, and that way you can lift the fabric to see the journaling underneath, but it's not visible straight away, and it's really pretty when you pop it into a pocket as well, because then the fabric hangs over the front of the pocket, or at least I think it's pretty. And because my journal has got like a shabby chic style, I really like it. I think it really looks nice. So yeah, you can use these for multiple different things. So now that they're all cut down, I'm going back into my little bag here, which is where I kind of grabbed all the little bits and bobs that are embellishment things rather than lace trims out of my scrap bin. I don't even know how some of them got in there, to be honest, but I'm pretty sure it's probably just because I was too lazy to put them away. And they just got popped in there for convenience sake. But I'm just grabbing smaller little items. I mean, obviously I've grabbed this bit, but it does have little tiny flowers around it, which was my thought process on grabbing that big piece there. I'm also grabbing little pearl embellishments, like flat back pearls, so that I can glue those on. And I've got some roses with a flat back as well, and then these things that I'm holding here, it's like a pearl in the centre, and then it's almost like smaller pearls to make a flower sort of shape around it. So they're connected by some thread, so I'm just kind of making sure I get that thread off. But that's the good thing about using glue. You can obviously glue things down that you wouldn't ordinarily be able to stitch. For instance, the flatback pearls. I've also grabbed a pearl trim that I've kind of popped along the bottom of one of the tabs and along the top of another tab. So again, I'm just kind of putting things down, seeing how I like them, and then if I like it, I leave it. If I don't, I move it. It's really as simple as that. And now I'm grabbing some vintage buttons, and again, just seeing where I like them and what colours I like and things like that. I'm trying to stick to sort of softer pinks and purples and whites, things like that, so that they're all kind of the same palette colour. I can't talk today, but basically, so they all match, essentially. So yeah, I'm just kind of playing about with it and seeing how I like it. So now that I've got those situated, I'm just going to grab my glue, and again I'm just putting a little bit of glue on the back and gluing them down. For the pearl strips, I've just put glue straight onto the fabric, and I've been very generous with the glue. Normally I kind of smooth it out with the nozzle. I haven't done that. I've left it quite gloopy so that it kind of grips into those pearls, because they're not flat on the back side. So I wanted to make sure that they kind of push into it, almost like pushing into like Play-Doh, and that way it'll grip like halfway up onto the pearls. Like I said, obviously you could go in and you could stitch these on in between the pearls, grabbing onto the thread, and it would definitely hold probably a little bit better, but I think that these are definitely fine. They're not going to come off. And like I said, I want to do this to show you that you don't need to sew. Everything can be added with glue, so long as you're generous with the glue and you're using the right glue. So once I've kind of got all these popped down, I'll just add bits and bobs if I feel I need to, and make sure that they're ready to go, making sure that I take into consideration these will be folded in half, so you're only going to see one side at a time. So I'm kind of decorating half at half. I hope I'm making sense. So only half is the full page, essentially. So I want to make sure that each half is pretty. It may look like a bit much when it's lying flat, but once it's folded in half, you're only going to see half of it. I hope I made sense. So I'm just kind of grabbing a few more buttons and popping them down and just finishing those off so that they're ready to go into the journal. So I hope you guys are all doing well and that you're enjoying this series, I guess, and that it's giving you some inspiration. And like I said, I hope you're crafting along with me. And like I said before, let me know what you are making. If you're not taking part, definitely let me know what you are creating. I would love to know. And I would just love to hear from you down in the comments. I always reply to my comments. So yeah, definitely say hi down below. It makes my day when I hear from you guys. Did you have a nice May weekend? We've been out at a car boot sale for the first time in I don't know how long, and it was actually pretty good. It was quite small, but it was still good. So now I'm just adding my glue. I'm doing like a strip of glue down either edge of the folded tab, and then I'm just folding it over the edge of the page to hold it into place. And I'm going to kind of stagger them so that they're kind of going down the page, and then I'm putting 3 on one side of the middle signature and 3 on the other side of the middle of the signature. So I'm kind of staggering them so that they're kind of climbing down the journal, like steps, I guess. So yeah, like kind of like steps. So I'm putting one at the top, kind of one in the middle, and then one at the bottom of the page. Just for a little bit of variation, I guess. And obviously, if you want to add tabs, but you don't want to go to this length to do it, if you don't want to make these like snippet roll type things, you could just add lace and fold it over the edge of the page like a tab. So you could even use ribbon. I've done that before, and it looks really pretty. Even though it's thinner, it still looks really pretty. So I'm just adding these, and I'm obviously kind of cutting out the time where I have to sit and hold them for a couple of seconds to let the glue grab hold. But once you've stuck it down, definitely hold it in place for about 10-15 seconds, just so that the glue grips and it doesn't kind of spring apart again. So that's us done for today. I hope you enjoyed this video and that you're making your own little snippet roll tabs. And be sure to keep an eye out for the next video where we will decorate the front cover and add the last finishing touches to this journal. And then we'll be finished with this last batch. Be sure to let me know if you want me to video me packing these up to send out. But I will hopefully see you again soon. Thanks for watching. Take care and God bless. Bye.